peak of the race, looking at all my friends, like, what the fuck? How come they're getting such big promotions and I'm stuck? Like, I'm not getting the promotions that they're getting. Mm-hmm. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pick up my shit and move to Australia. It was fucking crazy. Like,
oh, you went to Australia?
Yeah, I lost my mind, sort of. I'm glad I did it. It made me appreciate money. It made me appreciate certain things differently.
Welcome to the People's Choice Podcast. Thank you for, coming on my show. This is episode 35 of my interview section.
35. Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, no problem. For all my peeps out here, this is Talks with Liemi hosts. We got Emmett as well. They're both brothers. They're cool people. I was actually on their podcast as well. That should be coming out pretty soon, right?
Yeah, on Tuesday, actually.
On Tuesday, yeah. So I'll make sure. Well, hey, this is when this is gonna come out.
The casts are gonna drop.
Yeah, man, crap.
Got a double album.
So for all my peeps out here, you guys got to check their episode out. Check my episode out. So you see, we're sharing the audience. There ain't gonna be no war. We ain't Kanye and Drake it out here.
Wait, if Kanye and Drake had a war, who would you go to battle with?
Which
side would you?
Drake.
You're down with Drake. Okay.
Down with Drake. I'm down with Jersey.
I got no guidance.
No guy. I swear, it's hard to do an interview with you guys only because you guys are just naturally funny. Like,
sorry.
Oh no! I mean, it's great. I mean, that's just natural because like a lot of people they struggle with being on camera or holding conversation. Like with you guys, it's just so natural, and I'm just like, man, I love this. I watched our episode. I mean, the link you sent me at least 16 times. I listen on the way to work. I listen when I'm going in the shower. I listen when I want to laugh. Yeah, I'm just like this is hilarious. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there was some good stuff in there, but I mean, the chemistry was just awesome.
I was like, because we recorded that one a little while ago, and I was looking forward to this because once I heard it was Alvin, I was like, man, we had fun. I was hyped up today.
What was your favorite part of it? It was so much, but I think the foreheads really got me in the backstory.
The bangs.
Yeah, the bangs.
Yeah, beautiful head.
14 hours of editing.
Mine went into the more serious side. My favorite part was when we were talking about the you being raised in poverty and then my identity crisis. I actually sent that segment to an Asian friend and a Black friend, and both of them said, wow, those are powerful segments. I was like, fuck yeah, that's pretty awesome that they reacted that way.
It's going on TikTok.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Thanks. That's awesome, guys. Because my peeps are probably gonna be like, "What are you guys talking about?" You guys got to tune in. I'm telling you, I'll put the links in the description.
It's worth your time.
Definitely. So, who should I start off with? Because I know you're. All right, I'm get the floor. So, all right, I'll start off with you, Lem. Since you're a software engineer, how did you get to that? Journey.
Back in. So at our first podcast, we talked about how I worked at Macy's and how I hated that. So I'm not going to reiterate that story. Force people to go to that podcast to hear that.
Please check that out, guys.
But
get the nasty Macy's story.
I think, and then because then I mentioned how I had, or I might have mentioned some of it, but I left certain parts out. And Uncle, I mentioned to him about not going to college, and he's like, hey, maybe you should go to this computer college. And since I hated Macy's so much, I made that happen right away. And in that podcast, I talked about how, remember that I told the Macy's group that I was going to go, and there's an older man working there, and he's all, don't forget about us when you get big. So
you still in touch with that old man?
No.
You forgot about him, damn it. You had one job.
Well, you know what? Actually, I want to say
probably dead.
I want to say about 10.
That's so
He probably died under a box in the Macy's warehouse.
You see my peeps, this is what I'm talking about.
A pile of sweaters fell on him. He never got out.
The semi truck, what's the cargo part? The back part? What's it called? The cargo?
The trailer
part?
Yeah, the trailer.
That was hot in there, unloading the boxes. That's what his job was. And once in a while, I would do it.
Oh, so you guys both worked there? I didn't know that.
No.
Oh, you saw the old man. Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah. I was helping that old man out, and
I'm old. I'm not that old.
Oh,
and it was
Although when you guys are rich and famous, don't forget me. Don't leave me here to die.
vice versa, man. Vice versa.
So I would help him out, and I would notice how hot it would get in that trailer, trailer.
Yeah.
So it was a tough job. But from that story, people worked there. They didn't really think about moving on. But for me, it was my driver to get out there. I fucking hated that place. So my uncle told me about this computer school. I went and signed up, and I jumped in. I did computer networks, actually. I got my degree in computer networks. Awesome. And then luckily...
was it Uncle Bob or Uncle Mark?
Uncle Mark.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Uncle Mark. Shout out to Uncle Mark for
props.
That.
Shout out Uncle Mark.
Education.
Subscribe. Become a peep.
So then did the computer school, did computer networks. And then being 19, most people or most males we're kind of hot-headed, or we think we know everything. So I got out of that computer networks school. It was a 1 year full-time, so it was 40 hours a week. So you actually almost have your associate's degree as soon you're almost, there's a few credits off, but anyways, so I had like a hot head. I was like, oh yeah, I almost got my associates. I'm only like 20. I think I was 9. I was just turning 20, if not still 19 at the time. And then, so I just had a big ego sort of. Then my uncle, that same uncle that told me to go to that computer school, he said, hey,
Uncle
IBM.
Mark.
Uncle Mark, thank you again. Uncle Mark said there's entry-level positions at IBM. So I was like, ooh, IBM. Cool. Damn, okay. So I went to apply for that, and I went in with my cocky attitude. I was like, back then, I was like, I'm not going to accept the lowest pay. You got to give me like a few dollars more. And I'm
almost an associate.
Yeah, I don't know. It worked because I got the job offer. Awesome. Thinking back, I was a little. If I reflect on it, I was pretty cocky, but I could totally see how it paid off. But I could also see how it could have easily. If they gave me more tasks that I wasn't ready for, it could have overloaded me, or I could have felt pretty stupid being in that position. But I got by. I worked that job, and all the clients that IBM sent me out to, everybody freaking loved me.
Dude, all this time I thought Uncle Mark was just a jerk off.
Uncle Mark, I don't feel that way. Please still subscribe.
He's guiding young minds into the future.
It's funny you say that you were very cocky going into it, but like from the talks we've had and being on your show, you seem really cool, humble, and chill. So what humbled you?
It took him 20 years to get beat down by life.
No, it's sort of is slightly true. There's a part, Emmett has a big part of it. He would often call me out for being hot-headed when I was younger, and I think this is actually a good story for maybe young males, especially when you have that testosterone in you, man. Like you think you know everything, you think you can fight anybody. That's how I was, man. I'm actually only 5'2", but at that time I'll take on anyone. I didn't care. I don't care if you're 6'4". Like I could almost bench. I think at that time I could almost bench I think I was bench 220 pounds. Oh shit. So okay. I was 120, but I could bench 220. So it was just my size or I don't know, my physique was, I was physically, I think, decent enough to handle myself, but also the mental side was a bit much too.
Well, so, my mom always said, watch out for the quiet ones and the short ones. So, that don't surprise me, man.
But Lim's not telling you, he was a baller too. We used to play basketball.
Oh, okay.
He was a demon on the court. He would drive right up the middle.
Yeah, because
right to the hoop.
Yeah, so I had the physique, but I also had massive speed too. I was probably there was nobody that was faster than me. You could put a 6 foot guy next to me. There's a chance he might catch up, but most of the time I was super fast, and I had just enough size where maybe that's the being young and dumb. Like I didn't care about charging into their shoulders, probably more like their hip because I was so short. But I'd push them around, or they would try to push me. But they're like, "Holy shit, this guy's got a little bit of mass, even though he's on." They didn't know my weight, but they're probably thinking, "Damn, that guy's small and kind of slim." But
a tall dude's getting worried about getting hit in the nuts now.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's probably one of the things he's thinking about.
So from I think 8th grade to all the way up to when I was 19, I was playing ball with Emmett like quite a bit, and then even without Emmett, I was playing somewhere between 3 to 6 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week. So you just
pick up games on the mean streets of San Diego, community parks,
and some of the highlights was when Emmett would take me out to like the beach, and there's a 6 foot. Usually, typically, we were playing with black people, so I'm not trying to be racist, but on the courts, that's what most of them were, and with I don't know if it's. I'm going to say the culture, the lot of shit talking.
The stories going.
Yeah, shit talking would go at me. All the black guys.
If you got thin skin, you ain't gonna make it. Just you can be the best baller, but if you got thin skin, man, we're gonna tear you apart.
Yeah,
something in us.
I remember UCLA. You took me to UCSD. UCLA. We went up north.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, we played ball up there.
Traveling to challenge people.
Yeah. And these tall black guys
were serious.
Yeah, they were like, "Who's this little short guy?" Then nobody covered me, so I made like 3 baskets, and they're like, "Okay, stick one person on him." And then I kept on driving past them, and I was driving. I didn't shoot. I was actually, I mean, I could lay up. I can't dunk or anything, but I was making these points in the key, and eventually the guys were like, "Dude, double team him." Basketball, I guess, and then became programmer. Oddly, no. So jumping back, then okay. So with networking, got a job at IBM, and then the entry level position at IBM, they freaking work you to your like. They don't really give you opportunity. They make you a worker bee, and they don't care about you, at least at that position. So I stayed there for 2 or 3 years, and they let me go. And then luckily, I had a friend that was in programming, and then he's like, "Hey, I know you're in computer networks. Would you like to come try us out and learn programming?" At that time, I was like, "I don't know anything about programming. I know networks. There's completely different."
Like so, networking is like hooking up the cables and getting the computer to run.
Yeah,
starting it up.
Yeah. And then when you work at a company that has maybe 200 machines, there's IP addresses. So you have to know how to architect 200 computers into subnets, and there's some math behind it.
That's what's up. Me and my buddy John were just talking about that. He did a lot of that back when he was in the military.
Oh yeah. So I did that. And then,
so for our listeners, so if you ever set up one computer, that's a hassle, right? So now you're talking about setting up a whole bunch of computers to work together. It's a different game.
Yeah. You got to think about how, if there's one server, how many machines need access to that and how many don't. And then you might want to segregate certain machines for faster access to something else. So you got to design that and get the IP.
You got to set up the printers to fail often.
Yeah. Yep. So then that friend said he was a programmer, and they had a position that opened up that they actually needed. It was just super lucky for me. They said they needed someone to help their network, but they only had enough networking work for maybe a part-time job. So they wanted to use my other free time to learn programming. And I was like, "I'll try to learn if you're down to teach me." And I got super lucky on that. I got into it. I got lucky, but then also my hard work. Back in the day, if Emmett remembers, I would come home after my programming job, and then I would start programming something at home. And then I called it Suggestion Finder, where you could find reviews on restaurants at suggestionfinder.com, which doesn't exist now. What exists now is a competitor called Yelp. So in 2002,
Yelp was very big. Yeah.
2002, I was working on that project. And then 2004, 2005, Yelp made it big. So I threw my hands up. I gave up. There's no way I'm going to beat Yelp at this point. But I have
like being in Google.
Yeah, but I have evidence of code that I wrote in 2002, and there's features on there that Yelp still doesn't have today. So it's pretty
like pictures of hot chicks or what?
No, you could
foreheads and bangs.
Oh, don't cut bangs, ladies. Please don't. Just kidding. You ladies do whatever you want. It's just for my personal preference. So something that I wrote on suggestionfinder.com was unique coupons that companies could create. So say if you own a specific Denny's, and then for whatever reason you're the owner of that Denny's, and you want to do a coupon that's like buy 2 for 1 pancakes, whatever it is, but you only want it to give someone that gives the next 5 comments on the reviews. Mm-hmm. So then it's a unique coupon that has this like 32 character code on it. And when you take that coupon to that Denny's, they scan it and they're like, oh yeah, no one's redeemed this 32 character code yet. So it's a unique coupon. So if someone tries to print out something else or try to print out the same one and use it twice, it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. So that's something I built back in 2002.
I wanted to when I ordered the moons over my hammy, I would get an extra half of my hammy. That'd be ideal.
If that's your restaurant, yes.
That's a heck of a story, man. You know, like
if Denny's watching, we want the extra hammy.
Extra hammy and 2 pancakes.
That's right.
So Emmett, like let's start on your journey. I mean, because you know, like I said, you're very funny. Man, I mean, you got me rolling from you guys' episode, but you're also in real estate. So how did that all start?
Starts in clown school. there is a university for clowns. No, I'm kidding. I went to a school for accounting, so at San Diego State.
Awesome.
I'm at San.
I went there.
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up a poor kid. Depending on how you want to look at it. Lucky to be in America, but not a rich kid. So I go to college because I don't know what to do. I'm like, this is how you get the good jobs, right? You make more money if you go to college. So I go to college. I've always been good at multiple choice tests, right? So back then it was not as expensive as it is now.
Yeah.
So I graduated in 2001 with, I think, a total of $14,000 in student loan debt. So very, very reasonable though, compared to what people are talking about today.
Yeah. Now it's ridiculous.
So it was a state school, not super expensive. And I did work my way through. I did mostly valet parking. So at the Marriott downtown, I was parking cars and getting tips. And, so I was working probably 30 hours a week and going to school. And
I would say you had it easier compared to that Macy story.
No,
I'm playing with you, man.
If you like chasing parked cars, you got to run down into the garage. But yeah, not hot. San Diego is a pretty cool place. And then that Marriott was down by the water. So, fairly pleasant. And then a lot of times the shifts were at night. Just because I was at school in the day and work night shifts, right? So I wasn't super motivated or driven. I just was very calculating and strategic. I mean, that's kind of how I am now. Like I'm always, if I don't like where I'm at, how do I figure out to get to the next spot, right? If there's something better out there, how do I get that, right?
Yeah.
So, I figured I'd get a degree and then I go to school and it's got to be a business degree because that's what I'm trying to do is make some money. I'm not going to go get an art degree or, physical therapy. Like San Diego State.
Nothing wrong with that. All my peeps that's in art degrees in physical therapy.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying for me, it was a money thing. Like,
gotcha.
I wasn't there because I was passionate about art. But San Diego State was weird at that time. I think there was some ungodly amount of like kinesiology degrees coming out of there. Okay. And looking back, I'm like, there's something stupid about this. How does a school pumping out all these kinesiologists? What job are they going to do? Mm-hmm. Like especially if it's state funded, right? If it's state endorsed, I almost think you have to say, hey, look, we're going to give all these degrees to jobs that ain't out there. There's all these jobs that need people. Let's give degrees that match the job market. That would make a lot more sense to me, from a business standpoint and a state investment standpoint.
I'll throw in a question I think that you have an answer to. Why didn't you consider something like a construction job or truck driver, something that is like a labor job that's always in demand?
Honestly, because I went to school, my high school, I went to in Bangkok. So I was in Thailand for high school and I was just a clueless kid. I had no idea what was going on. So back then there's no internet. I mean, there was like brand new, like email was brand new in 1995 when I finished high school.
AOL days.
Yeah. So there's there ain't a whole lot of info out there. And depending on what guidance you get from your parents, I wasn't real social or good at, looking for mentors or looking for answers and talking to people. And, I was just trying to figure shit out. So finishing high school in Thailand, but my dad was working in the embassy over there. So I'm at this private school for embassy kids and rich kids and diplomats kids. So it's a weird environment. But what you see there is people just disappear. Like they go to their home country or they go to university, and they leave Thailand, and then you really don't know what people are doing. But that school, mostly they went to college. You never saw somebody drop out. You never saw somebody get a construction job. You never saw somebody become a mechanic. You never saw somebody.
So just over there, it just wasn't common.
Yeah, I just literally had no other ideas. I guess I'll go to college. I don't. That seems to be what's going on. That seems to be the path. So I went back to San Diego because I grew up there, and that seemed smart. Like, what am I going to do? Pick some random city? Like, I don't know. Like,
could have came in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Yeah, I didn't even know anything about it. Right? Didn't know it existed. I could have told you North Carolina's a state, but other than that, I didn't know nothing. So I was just 18-year-old kid making choices based on very limited info. So the most logical thing to me seemed to be get a business degree. And then as I started that degree, it seemed that accounting was the most secure. Because so back then you'd open a paper and you look at what jobs are available, and you see tons of accounting jobs because nobody wants to be a fucking accountant. And then
shout out to you, Stephanie, my other best friend, who's actually I think very close. This is her last semester. She'll be an accountant.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very secure job. You can always find an accounting job. I'm never going to be out of work as long as I can sit on a computer and do spreadsheets and work with software and stuff. So that was a great move in the security sense, and that's what I needed because I was in my mindset. I'm 18. I got to figure out how to be an adult. I got to get out on my own. I got to pay some bills, right? I got to rent someplace. I got to have a car. I got to have gas. Got to have food. I thought that's what you're supposed to do when you're 18. Apparently, you're supposed to hang around your parents.
Shit.
And and that plus, I didn't want to be around my parents. I'm annoyed with my parents. Like, I don't want to hang around them. I love them, but I didn't want to spend another minute with them. By the time I was 18, I was like, I want to get out. And
I hope they don't see this. They're going to get so mad at you.
I'll tell them like it is, They know I don't want to hang out with them 24/7. So I got a degree in accounting. Took me 6 years, but it was a fun 6 years because I wasn't in a hurry. I was enjoying college, and then got out and got some staff accounting job at a semiconductor company and did that for 3 years and lost my mind because I'm sitting in a cubicle staring at a computer all day, and I'm just I'm a young dude and I'm like, I'm losing it. Like this is it. Like, what's my path? Like what am I going to do? Move on to another accounting job? And so I bounced out of there and tried
a slight parallel tangent. I also felt that when I was about 24, I want to say 24, 26. I forget what exact age. As I was sitting programming, there's something in me. I was like, man, I'm young. I want to go play basketball. I want to get outside. I'm in this dark computer room. Literally, it was a dark room because a lot of programmers like it dark. The other coworkers liked it dark.
Yeah.
I was in this dark room 9 hours a day. And like, I could see this, like we had a couple windows, but you could see they would cover most of it, but you could see that like the crack or whatever you want to call it of sunlight coming in. And to me, that was like freedom. That was happiness. And yet I'm in this 9 hour dark room every day.
It's a weird prison.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So you trade your life for a paycheck, right? And
exactly. And a lot of people do that. So I'm glad you guys touched on that because for some reason, I guess the way society is, it's like they expect you to know what you want to do and have it basically figured out in your 20s. Like you guys, you said around 26 and your early 20s where you're like, I got a good paying job, but it's not my passion. It's driving me crazy.
Yeah.
So what made you really, go and follow that passion?
Well, so again, I'm not Mr. Passion, but I knew I hated where I was at. So I'm looking around.
Close enough.
So I was unhappy enough to look around and say, is there something better out there? What's a better gig? Right. So I'm looking around and hey, salesmen seem to be overpaid. They seem to be making a lot of money. So I think I went from there to mortgages in a very strange time. This had been 05, 06, right before the big mortgage crash. So it was a sketchy industry, but a life experience for me. I was, to sum it all up, I was too honest to do well in that mortgage environment. So I did some mortgages, but not enough to make a living at it because it's commission only. And
I think just to kind of, for someone to say that they're too honest for a job, normally I wouldn't believe them. I would say fuck you. But in Emmett's situation, I actually remember. I think you could tell me if I'm wrong. I think it was I forget her name, but someone wanted to buy a house from you, and then you looked at their bills and you told them, well, you probably shouldn't buy this house. You could technically get the loan, but you're gonna be upside down, or you're not going to be able to afford this house. Especially was the neg am loans where you pay 2 years on super low APR, then 2 years later the APR flips the rate or something, and then your monthly bill it goes from a manageable maybe 1,500 all the way up to, I don't know, 2,500 a month for your mortgage. And people don't read that fine print. So Emmett told her that, and she's like, well, fuck you, Emmett, I'm gonna go find another. And sure enough, she found a different real estate agent that doesn't give a fuck about her, and did all the paperwork, and she bought the house. And luckily years later, I kind of kept in touch a little bit with her. She was a friend of my friend's sister. And I kind of heard that she got a promotion at her job and she was able to afford it, but you can't guarantee a promotion. Buy a house and hope that you get a promotion within 2 years. Like, that's not always easy.
Yeah, it's a big gamble.
So I was looking at it like an accountant, like, hey, this don't add up. And other people are salespeople, so they're gonna say, oh yeah, you would definitely want to get this mortgage. You want to make a commission on the front, we're gonna commission on the back. It's gonna be great. So I'm sure she refied. If she kept it, she had to refinance because the loans then were so insane and unmanageable. They were all traps. They were all garbage.
Yeah, that was the cause of the 2008 crash. Was all those traps.
Yeah. So bouncing around careers. For a while, I managed a comedian. For a while,
oh, cool. Which comedian?
His name was Dat Phan. He's a Vietnamese American comedian. He's our uncle. So,
Uncle Mark.
Different Uncle Dat.
Gotcha.
So we kind of grew up together, but he won that first Last Comic Standing, and you go from being a nobody comic to now you're a star. And then he went to Hollywood and had experiences with some managers and agents, and he got fed up and he said, hey, do you want to be my manager? And I said, well, screw it. I'm not doing too well in mortgages here. Let's see if I can help you with your business better. And we had a good run for 3 years, but he decided he didn't want to be in TV and movies at that time. So as a comedian, if you're not in TV and movies, there's kind of a real limit to what you can do and how much you can make on stage, right? So if you think about your favorite comedian, is people from TV and movies, right?
Yeah.
The comedians who are making a ton of money, really they're TV and movie stars, and now YouTube.
Definitely.
So, but back then, the path was real clear. If you're not becoming a screen star, then you're a live stand-up, and you can only make so much. So we parted ways at that point. I think I went back to accounting at a medical devices company because tough times. Take whatever job you can get. Grab something at, I think it was like $16 an hour just to get by, pay the bills, pay my rent. So while I was there, you start getting unhappy again, right? You're looking.
I think that was the unhappiest point in Emmett's life. For me, looking at Emmett's life, around that period was the most unhappiest that I've seen him.
Yeah, I'm back in the trap, right? I'm back in the little prison.
Let me find out you in the trap house.
So I start getting this crazy idea that down in Orange County over here in California, there's some Vietnamese coffee shops, and they got bikini girls walking around. And so
lingerie girls.
Lingerie, yeah. So
proper term.
So I'm looking at the place and I go, well, ain't nothing special about this place. Like, it's just 4 walls and some coffee and chicks in skimpy clothes. Like, I started thinking maybe I could open one of these. So for a couple of years, I'm researching how do you open a restaurant, how do you get started, what money you need to save up, write up a business plan, and you do all your homework, and because I do my 8 hours at the job. And then when I leave the job, whatever energy and passion I got left is like, well, how do I get this other thing started? You know, this is, how do I take a swing at this other thing? So every day I'm doing something, you know, I'm researching health department codes and, you know, learning about, because I had never worked in a restaurant before. So it was all, you know, trying to learn this shit without doing it.
Yeah.
And so much so
safe.
that, yeah, exactly. That stuff. So I had a friend.
Certified.
Yeah, dude, I got the 5-year manager cert.
Same here. Me too. It's actually running out. I think it's going to run out after this year.
So I had a friend in Vegas from my comedy days. She and her brother owned a restaurant here in Vegas. And so I was in town and I was like, hey, you mind if I come ask you about running a restaurant? Because I'm thinking about it and to see if I can get some knowledge, you know, learn, you know, you could tell me what to do, what not to do. So I chatted with her for like 2 or 3 hours and didn't think anything of it. But 2 weeks later, she calls me and goes, hey, do you want to come up and manage my restaurant? And I'm like, well, give me 2 weeks to quit and I'll be there. You know, so I came up and managed her restaurant, I think almost a year. And at that point, I was like, yeah, I've learned everything I need to learn. Let's go down to San Diego and open my coffee shop. And Lim had come back from his travels. So we teamed up and tried to open this coffee shop. And we did pretty well. It's just a lot of
Let me what was the name of the coffee shop?
Café Hapa.
Café Hapa.
But it's not present anymore. Obviously, we're doing other things. It didn't work out. But
don't look it up because there ain't nothing there.
Well, you could look it up. You actually go ahead and look it up, people.
I might have to look it up. Let's see if I can put it in the video. I'll have to check it.
Search Google Images. You'll find something.
Those are definitely bikinis.
Yeah. They're definitely be girls in bikinis. But so it's not safe for work. NSFW. But it's not R-rated though. So FY. But so prior to doing the Café Hapa, I got fed up with the rat race too. At the age of about 27, 28, I fucked up my life. I like threw all my I threw my cars. I didn't pay them off. I took on a bunch of credit card debt. I was just like mentally sick of that rat race. What happened was from the age of 20 to 27, I saw both sides, and I throw race in there a lot. I saw both my Asian friends and my white friends, especially the white friends, their salaries kept on going up, and mine was like just kind of stagnant. It was barely moving, like something like 3% a year. But my white friend, his shit was fucking like 10%, 20% every year.
Well, how come you didn't have any black friends, dude?
I plead the fifth. I don't know. I can't think of an answer to
Let's just say there weren't any in his area.
There's not a lot of African American folks in San Diego, and the ones that are, they hang in certain areas down on the south side. So unless you're going to the south town, you don't see too many of them. You don't get a chance to connect.
By chance, we're altering the lights. Are both of us bright enough on the lighting for you?
Yeah.
Does it look dark?
Yeah, you guys are perfect. How's my lighting?
Yeah, you're good. Ours looks really dark compared to yours. So
I can't even tell you're black, dude.
Maybe it's too good. Hold on. Let me see. Is that better?
Okay, you look Mexican now. That's good.
All right. I'll take that.
Damn, where was so other people around me, their promotions and raises were coming by quick, and I feel like I work hard. I mean, I was telling you guys I created Yelp before Yelp, so I feel like that's just an example of like how dedicated when I'm onto something, it's like all or nothing. There's a lot of things that I have flaws on, and I don't focus on it, but the things that I do want to focus on, I try to go hardcore on it, because I feel like maybe that's the American lifestyle. Like, to make a lot of money, you got to kind of be hardcore on one thing. That's what it feels like to me. So that's how you have
to specialize.
Yeah, that's how I've kind of always been, or how I was built. So I got sick of the rat race, looking at all my friends like, what the fuck? How come they're getting such big promotions and I'm stuck? Like, I'm not getting the promotions that they're getting. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pick up my shit and move to Australia. It was fucking crazy. Like,
oh, you went to Australia?
Yeah, I lost my mind, sort of. I'm glad I did it. It made me appreciate money. It made me appreciate certain things differently, and it made me not desire the rat race in a sense of consumerism. That was a really big factor to me. Like up until that point, I kept on buying things on credit. I felt like I need to keep up with the Joneses. I wanted to buy the latest shoes or the latest computers or have a nice car.
This dude was rolling in a STI WRX, the Subaru WRX STI, which is like a supercar.
Yeah. It was a really nice car back then, but it was $24,000, and some people spend more at the salary that I was making. Some people spend more, and I was scratching my head. I was like, "Fuck, this car!"
A bargain.
Yeah. I was scratching my head. I think it was like, I forget, it was $400 a month, $470 a month for that car payment. I feel like there's a lot of people doing that nowadays. That's the norm, and it's not a happy place for me.
Ain't norm for me.
Well, no, I say norm as I've seen some people, they live at home and like 90% of their paycheck goes into the car payment. They live at home. Sorry, they live at home with their parents. And I'm just like, how do you do that? Like, how could you live with yourself knowing that 90% of your money goes into a depreciating asset like that?
Those G-Wagons ain't cheap, man.
Yeah. So
maintenance on those will kill you.
For real.
I went crazy. I went to Australia for, I think, 4 months.
What was that experience like? I'm sorry, I know you're going to the story, but it was amazing to go to Australia. Find yourself.
The beaches there for me was phenomenal. There was a quote that someone wrote online that I read before I went, and I do agree with, and people may be upset that I say this. It's America 20 years in the past. Some of the things are culture, like some of the people there, they may say racial things, and I'm like, hey, I remember this in America 20 years ago. Like, you used to be able to say this, even though, I mean, that's the wrong thing to say, but people that are racist would say it out in the open and then not get as much flack. But nowadays in America, you see people getting flack for that, and things have changed and gotten, I would say, better. I guess when I throw in, I would say better, because then I'm thinking of Australia, how they're still doing it. And it's interesting how that society, how you could remember how America was, and yet both societies are still going forward. They're still moving forward. So it's weird that you could still have racism, and yet it's a paradigm shift, I guess. I don't know. It's a weird way to think about it.
Different culture.
Yeah. But even some of the music, I honestly felt like the music was even 20 years in the past, like whatever type of, not disco, kind of pop music that we had in the 1980s at the time that I went, I felt like that was the music there. I'm sure there's a bunch of Australians that are going to hate me by hearing this, but it just, there was
don't unsubscribe to my podcast now. I actually got a little audience in Australia though. That's the great thing, especially on Spotify. Like, I look at those analytics.
Nice.
So,
but
no disrespect.
So, anyways, let me redeem myself, Australians. I enjoyed that time so much. The beaches, the food. There was something. Maybe I was in vacation mode, but man, the food over there tasted just better. I asked my friend there, and I told him, why does everything taste better? And he's like, the government in Australia has placed a focus on local grown food, and they don't import as much, supposedly. So things from the blueberries to just bread alone, things are supposedly fresher. Even actually, if you know pho, the Vietnamese dish, there's a sauce called thung, which is a hoisin sauce,
plum sauce. Yeah,
that even their thung tasted like sweeter and tasted fresher.
Dude, the kangaroo meat is super fresh.
Yeah.
Some crocodile meat.
I couldn't picture eating a kangaroo. I'm not saying that Australians do. That just popped in my
we had some.
Oh, you really? Oh, you really?
Yeah.
See, this is news to me.
I don't joke.
I think we had crocodile.
See, people in North Carolina, I mean, that's not really common. You know, we're still to, pig, pork, chicken, or I said pork twice, cow,
bacon, all kinds of ham.
Yeah, like kangaroo ain't really, it ain't up there, that's different.
Oh my goodness. Crocodile, emu.
It's like an ostrich. Yeah.
And then, kangaroo.
Here's the secret though. If you take anything and bread it and deep fry it like a nugget, everything tastes delicious. That's the trick.
That's the trick.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So you guys both went to Australia at the same time?
He met me out there. I stayed out there for 4 months, and then he visited for
I came
2
to
or 3
visit
weeks.
for a couple weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
like couple weeks you had kangaroo. How could you?
Yeah, well, I mean, so like,
I'm just playing, bro.
it's like, hey, my cousin went to Australia. I wonder if I could go out there, like fly into Sydney. You start looking at flights, you start thinking about things, and you go, well, shit, $700 if we go at the right time.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I go, do I have the money? Let's make it happen. Here's a credit card. Go.
Yeah, we made it up to the Great Barrier Reef. That was pretty freaking awesome. To swim out in that Great Barrier Reef.
That's expensive too, because it's a big country. So that's like another flight to get from Sydney up to the Great Barrier Reef. But there's a real cool beach town there called Cairns, I guess, if you're going to pronounce it out so people can find it. Cairns. But it's such an awesome little beach town that even if you don't go out to the reef, it's such a fun, laid back beach town that might have been my favorite part of the trip, because it was also near the whitewater rafting.
I thought you were going to say near that seafood place.
Yeah, we did. There was. We got some sketch ass hotel room on the internet, and it turned out to be an awesome, beautiful. I think it was a timeshare, and you were just renting somebody's room.
Mm-hmm.
And you walk right out, like, no, it wasn't even a block. It was like you walk out the front gate and you hang a right, and there was this little seafood. It almost looked like a butcher counter. But they were like, yeah, we'll cook it up for you. And the fish and chips there was incredible.
The seafood was so fresh. It was ridiculous. I don't know what the heck they were doing with that seafood. Like,
they weren't putting all the poison they do over here.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just playing US. Don't kill me.
Biden, Trump, don't unsubscribe.
Trump's tweeting about us right now.
Wait, isn't he banned from Twitter?
Yeah, I think he's banned. Yeah. I ain't got to worry about him.
Fuck you. Kiss my ass.
Shit. We're gonna offend some people.
No, that's all right.
But so from your time in Australia, like, did you discover like yourself, or like what you want to do? Because like that seems
talking funny.
No, I didn't pick up the accent at that time.
Started carrying around large knives.
That's a great question. It was somewhere. It was a catalyst for me to find certain new personality traits of myself. I don't even know if it was to change me. I went from Australia for 4 months, Vietnam for 6 months. That's another story in itself. To see the poverty, to see the wholesomeness of people in poverty, that they're still kind to you, to see how hard they have it, and then to come back to America and then see how easy we have it. There was definitely character building moments in there.
That's where you discover that humbleness a little. That's like probably where the seeds started planting.
I think it was. It could have been. I don't know. It was a little bit coming back to this. I would say the humbleness probably started when I got back in the States, and I did change my views on money. Like I was more frugal. I would think about managing my money better. I would make sure to put some money in the bank and not use it all on new shoes or something. And then to be honest, what was that? Oh yeah,
I said no more Jordans.
Yeah, exactly. I
mean, the shame is that I never thought your shoes were that fresh, man.
I was just picking an object, just shoes, because everyone could connect with shoes. I think it was, to be honest, working in the corporate environment and kind of like wanting to make new friends, and just something didn't click for me. Like I wanted new friends, but I wasn't getting as many friends as I want. Reflecting back, some of it is a lot of people kind of settle down in life in their late 20s, early 30s, or even beyond. But I thought it was a reflection on me. So then I took it like, how could I gamify life? How do I make more friends? I was like, well, okay, I got to be less judgmental. I got to be less opinionated and less vocal about it. And I found that it did get more people around me.
You're saying people want to hang out more if you're not an asshole?
Yeah.
I could have told you that. No, you can't go to Australia for that. No,
yeah,
I'll play with you, man.
It's an expensive journey. So after all that, that's where I met up with Emmett, and then we're like, I saw his business plan for Café Hapa, and I'm like, hey, I'll help out. Let's go with this.
Can we touch a little bit on Café Hapa? Because I mean, that's a mess up. Café Hapa. That's how you say it.
Yeah.
Like, cause that's pretty big. Like, especially like over here in North Carolina, when you start your own business, I mean, that's like, man, like
Yeah.
you really made it. Like, can you talk a little bit about it? I know
Yeah,
you said it's not running anymore.
Yeah, it's not running anymore, but I'll throw out the numbers. I think that would be, if I were to listen to a podcast, I think that's what I would.
What you want to hear?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So Emmett did this fantastic business plan as a person that's from accounting. He cut down every fucking cost, like everything from, he was walking into Walmart, but also walking to Restaurant Depot, which is a place where you would usually get your supplies. But then
restaurant supply store. Yeah.
He would go as far as looking at the glass cups. Like, okay, Restaurant Depot has these cups for $3 and then Walmart has these cups. Or I think it was like $2 and then Walmart had it for $1.20.
IKEA is where we end up getting most of our glassware.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. IKEA. Yeah. Yeah. So then he found IKEA at the cheapest price, like $1.05 or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. So his business plan went as deep into that, but as high level as, okay, how much is the business license? How much is typically renting a restaurant? Who do you contact? How do you get? So all the paperwork for that. So he did a fantastic plan, and it came down to be, he figured, it was him. I think it was around $38,000 for like the first 4 months, which in essence, most restaurants, if you look at a lot of common restaurants, they're looking at 100,000, 250,000, 500,000
to open it up,
just to open. So his plan was to get it all done under $38,000, way below what the typical price was. So he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, so congrats, Emmett. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the accounting mindset, right? Breaking down every cost. So that came very naturally. So we were opening on a shoestring budget because we didn't have no money, right? We just regular working dudes. We had a couple of good friends that gave us money, like Brian Outlaw out there, actually African American dude I know from. We went to high school together in Thailand. Awesome. And he went to
shout out to Brian.
Yeah, shout out to Brian.
Remember UCLA basketball with me?
USC. Yeah, he went to.
He said, "Yeah, I dunked all over you."
He was a great baller.
I hope Brian can see this. This is just cool.
A lot of people likened him to Charles Barkley at the time. So if you can see what kind of baller he was. But yeah, he had done well in the computer world, and he gave us some money to start up that. He wasn't the only one, but he was one of the ones that stuck out. Like, this is my buddy. I see him, once every year or two. And once he heard about our business, he's like, "Yeah, I'm in." And he gave us some investment money, money that I had saved up, and I think Marielle, my girlfriend, was the other big investor. So we had not a lot of money to start with, so we did it on a shoestring because we had to.
I was gonna say, you guys didn't go to like any bank, get like a loan or anything. You guys just literally all.
I thought about it. It's super hard to get a bank loan on a restaurant because banks know that restaurants, any kind of food service business, even a coffee shop, they know that it's a high failure rate business. So if you do everything right, you're still going to have, a 75, 80% chance of failure, within the first couple of years, just because it's so hard to do. You think about your favorite restaurant ever that isn't a chain.
McDonald's. Right? No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
Whatever your favorite, like the Thai food place or whatever your favorite place is that you love to death. How often do you go there?
Right? Maybe like once, maybe twice a month.
Yeah. Maybe. So you start multiplying up. Even if you love a place, you can't go back there every day.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of getting customers to come and spend their money, getting enough popularity. Instagram was a brand new hotness at that time. We actually did a fantastic job marketing. So we jumped on Instagram pretty quick. It was like brand new, fresh at the time. Now it's old news. Like only old people are on Instagram. But,
hey, wait a minute now. I'm still on Instagram. They said about Facebook. Like, what's going on? That's grandpa level now.
Yeah. So Facebook and Instagram, we were marketing the shit out of it. We got onto local TV and radio.
Wow.
With like, hey, there's a new coffee shop and they got bikini girls. How crazy is this, right? And we were on Thrillist and a bunch of other like internet news stuff. So we had incredible marketing, but what ended up happening was San Diego is low key a conservative place, and somehow there was some hesitation to go to our restaurant, and it was weird because what I concluded in the end was that there was like 50 to 100,000 dudes in San Diego. They're like, "Oh my God, I heard about this place. It's so amazing. I'm totally going to go check it out one day." but checking it out one day doesn't pay the bills.
Yeah.
On month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So there's this weird hesitance at that time and place. So our revenue was growing, but not. I figured having bikini girls would make our revenue grow faster than a normal coffee shop.
Mm-hmm.
So it was normal revenue growth. You're picking up customers, you're picking up regulars. Shout out to Sharky, who is probably our number one regular.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Sharky.
So, we were growing, but we had some trouble with the landlord. He kind of turned into a dick. He really didn't care if we made it. He wanted to collect our deposit.
Most landlords are like that, man. Drive me crazy.
Yeah, he had a couple of bigger tenants, and the burger joint that opened up next to us after us started complaining because they were mad that they weren't booming, and they figured, I don't know, they somehow figured it was our fault for having bikini girls.
It's like burger place, bikini coffee girls.
Yeah, so but the burger place was renting twice as much square footage and spent a lot more money on their lease. So the landlord's going to side with them and give us a hard time.
Yeah.
So we were struggling with the landlord a little bit, who was kind of a dick. And then the health department was terrible in that I'm a square dude and I try to follow the rules. I'm going to do whatever the rules are. I'm going to do that. Right. So we did everything by the book. Here I am, an accounting nerd. Like, let's follow all the rules. I even paid them to come in before the inspection to do a pre-inspection. I paid the extra, like, come tell me what's wrong and I'll fix it before the inspection. So they came in, they gave me a list of like 4 things. I fixed all those things. They came into the inspection and gave me a list of 6 other things. Like, motherfuckers, I paid you to tell me all this shit. So I think the health department there in San Diego at that time, and in a lot of places, has lost track of their mission. Like, their mission should be to keep food safe.
We're calling you out. We're calling you out, San Diego.
I'll call it out.
Department.
San Diego and a lot of what I've run into in Vegas.
Money hungry bastards.
Yeah, they're not focused on keeping the food safe. Like, as long as you're not making people sick, if you're not doing stuff that's going to make for bad food, that should be the goal. And it should be educational. Like, hey, look, it shouldn't be punitive, because clearly I'm trying to do it right. Right. So I don't want to pay you to punish me to cost me more money. It's all insane that they've turned into a punitive, policing, repressive, destructive agency. Like, what pride should you feel putting businesses out of business? Right.
Yeah. How do y'all sleep at night? It's crazy.
I don't think they care. So government employees aren't the passionate people, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So it was insanity. There was one point where there's the health department, and then there's also the food establishment wastewater division, which monitors what's going into your drain, because they don't want you clogging it up with grease, basically.
Yep.
You could clog up a sewer with grease, is what they're concerned about. So we were juggling both of those agencies and following all of their rules, all their conflicting demands. And what it ended up being in the end was they wouldn't let us cook food on site. So we were wholesaling and bringing in sandwiches and warming them up. And we couldn't dump our coffee grounds into the sink. So we're dumping the coffee grounds into the trash can and then washing. And then all of that, so they could tell us, hey, now you need to install a grease trap. A grease trap for what? We ain't putting anything we need nothing but fucking water in there. Like, what grease are you talking about? And then we had to use all disposable, plates and silverware to avoid the grease problem, because we're not washing any dishes. What grease are you talking about?
Yeah,
so it was all insane. Yeah, in the end, they wanted us to install a grease trap in the ground. You can get a $500 grease trap that attaches right to your 3-compartment sink, and it does the job great. Or they can require you to install one in, like, break out the concrete, install one in the sewer line, and that'll run you about $10,000.
And they want you to do that, huh?
Yeah, so all of those challenges were like, man, I could fight this uphill battle and dig a big hole of debt so that maybe one day we can pull a profit out of this joint, or we can pull the plug and walk away. And it was smarter to walk away instead of digging a hole of debt.
So to jump back a little bit. So when Emmett created the plan at $38,000, I think you called it a blitz package, or was that me? I think it was you. So we looked at it as, let's get the shop open. Let's run for 2, 3, 4 months. And hopefully with Bikini Girls, the customer base and our
blow this place up.
Yeah. We'd hope it grow really fast. So we knew going in that this was a blitz package. I think a lot of people when they hear the story, they think of a typical business. If they know a typical business plan, it's a 2-year plan, 4-year plan, where you take out $500,000 or more, and you set that for 2 years. But we went in 4 months, $38,000. Let's see if we could do this. If it works out, then we go look for bank loans or other personal loans to keep this running.
Well, it should be profitable at that point, you know. As
That's the other thing. Yeah,
you're covering your bills, you're good.
Yeah,
so your coffee shop was only open for 4 months, or was it open a little long? Just 4 months?
Just over 4 months, yeah.
Somewhere around there, 4, 5, 6 months.
Yeah, so we were at a point where you make a decision. Well, because with that in-ground grease trap, that's a moment where you got to decide: am I going to take on this next investment? Do I take on this next debt? You know, because that's a turning point of do I dig a deeper hole at this point financially to try to make this.
Yeah, in that short time, I mean, in 4 months, 4 or 5 months, we had car meets show up. I mean, and then the newspaper, radio, and whatnot. But so there's a lot of pictures, and it looked like a lot of fun.
Motorcycle clubs.
Yeah, I think.
Shout out to the MCs.
And we're making sure to get on Instagram as much as we can. So there's tons of photos. I mean, if you look at it, it looks like a good time. I'm
gonna try to find some so I can put it in the video.
You're gonna see a lot of giant Jenga. Because it wasn't as popular back then. That was a brand new thing.
Yeah, we had. I think that was Emmett's idea. He wanted giant Jenga because we wanted the staff, the female staff in bikinis, to play games with our customers, like as in like the board games, giant Jenga. We just thought it'd be a fun thing because like part of like if you go to Hooters, like you get wings and fries or whatever, and the waitress will come by and say hello, and then you get a second waitress that's supposed to touch the table too. But that it's kind of like there's no interaction. We thought it'd be more fun if there's some interaction. So that's kind of how we set it up. So there's a lot of board games, card games, and stuff like that.
A lot of clean family fun.
Yeah, I would say clean family fun too.
With big tits.
You guys offer free Wi-Fi?
Yes, we did.
I'm in. Sold.
Yeah, we actually had one elderly person. He would come in every day. He's like, "You guys have the best Wi-Fi." You would see his RV parked out in the parking lot, and he would come in and have his coffee.
Yeah,
that's awesome. What was your favorite thing on the menu, like that you guys personally liked it?
We actually had a fantastic menu. I'm going to give myself credit on that. So I'm a bit like of a foodie, and I like when I dive into something, I want to put my effort into it. So me and Emmett spent probably, might be 6 months perfecting the coffee recipe, the Thai tea recipe. The Thai tea was actual real leaves that soaked for 24 hours. And then we found for me, the perfect match of sugar and milk to go with that Thai tea. And the coffee, we went through I think maybe 20 different brands of coffee. And I thought it was ironic. We ended up going to the original one that Emmett suggested in the beginning. What was that orange?
Was it
can? Dumont. We went back to Dumont. But there was many days where I was trying to figure out 2 scoops of Dumont,
3 1/2 scoops.
Yeah, it was. I was dialing in, man. Like I was trying to.
So also it was Vietnamese iced coffee. So if you never had Vietnamese iced coffee, it's like a double espresso, like a super strong coffee with sweetened condensed milk. So it's milky, creamy, sweet on ice. You can get it hot too, but as far as coffee goes,
heaven in a cup.
It is.
Yeah, and it's a strong punch in the mouth kind of coffee, and there's no mistake that you're on a supercharged coffee. So for some people, that's a very exciting cup of coffee, and you're going to get your caffeine, and you're going to get a good time in your mouth.
I need you guys to open up one. Like, just come to Fayetteville, man. Just open one up.
Do you know 8 bikini models?
I know a lot of fine girls. Throw bikinis on them, there we go.
We just need Drake to come down and film a video.
Oh man, yeah, you get a crowd, man, for real.
Yeah.
Then start false advertisement. Drake will be here every Tuesday.
We even had really good Vietnamese sandwiches too that we made. We bought parts and we found the best distributor for Vietnamese sandwiches, and I think we did a fantastic job on that.
Delicious. Yeah.
Yeah, they were delicious. So the coffee, the Thai tea, the Vietnamese sandwiches.
Well, so the weird problem we had was that we were trying to sell coffee, and a lot of people were coming into that location in that area. People wanted lunch.
Mhm.
They're like, well, what do you got for lunch? I'm like, oh, fuck, we got to scramble. Like, we got the health department telling us we can't cook here. So we had to scramble and figure out ways to get lunch options in there. So we did Vietnamese sandwiches, and then we did these, they're called bun baos. They're like a dumpling, but it's almost a meal. It's a floury dumpling with meat inside, and also delicious. But we had some food options that buffed up our menu, because we originally started with like all smoothies and shakes and drink kind of stuff. We figured
Did you have like
hanging out drinking
sweets and stuff too, like with a can't think of sweets
We
right
had
now.
an ice cream cookie
Cakes
sandwich.
and ice cream. Yeah, okay.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
there you go.
I forgot about it. We were baking fresh cookies and making ice cream cookie sandwiches. Yeah.
Man, you guys will kill it down here, man. I'm telling you.
Oh, it's delicious.
All we got is like Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, and both of them are a little overrated. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Don't hate me, guys. I love it like that. Because
that's the struggle of a small business, is that you're trying to make it happen, and if you don't have that deep pockets to keep it going, and any little thing can knock you out.
Definitely.
Just to kind of give ourselves some more credit too. When we did close down, the employees, the bikini girls, they actually said that some of them said, you guys are the best managers and the best owners we've ever worked with. The thing about me and Emmett, you see it, you spent 3 hours with us before, and you see our personalities. What you see on this podcast is what you get in person. And this is how we conduct our lives. What I say is what I do. Emmett's very straightforward with the way he works. He breaks it down pretty accounting wise, like where if the bikini girl, like her job included mopping the floors, she had to mop the floors, and he was just straight up, hey, this is in your employee handbook.
Job description.
This is your job description. You got to do this. If you don't, then we have to write you up. We are the owners, but we got to play by the rules too. Because
I don't think we ended up.
You ever had
to
fire anybody? I was gonna ask you. Yeah, you ever fire anybody
I don't
up?
think we did.
We there was one employee that was always late. The tall girl. I don't want to give her name, but
shout out to you, tall girl. Hope you're on time now.
we never.
She was fine.
I don't know if we did right. I think we might have written her up once, but we were really lenient. But we tried to do the HR route and just say, hey, you're late again. We got to
we never grabbed anybody's asses. It was pretty amazing. all these
thank God for that.
Yeah, you're talking 80 hours a week of not ass grabbing. It's pretty impressive. Proud of myself. Less proud of all this other shit. I'm proud of not getting a handful.
Oh man! So
there was. You got to think about those things as we're running
about it all the time.
As we're running this cafe. We got, I think our staff, I forget if it was 14 deep of cafe girls. I forget 14, 16 or 18. I forget. So
because we do 2 per shift.
Yeah. 2 girls per shift, and they got to come in. They come in their regular clothing. They got to go head towards the back, towards the restroom and dress, and then come out in their bikini. So it's, as a guys or anybody's, I don't think it's, I'm thinking even a female's mind might even think about it. Like it may occur to them day in, day out. You might think about something like, hey, what if that bathroom door happens to open up, or just something happens where you see them dressed.
Whatever, Trump.
Pussy grabber. So there was no pussy grabbing, no ass grabbing. No,
you guys are extremely professional. That's what's up.
Right.
So we basically go ahead.
I'll tell you a very pragmatic way that we handled some of that was in the interview. When we're interviewing bikini models, of course it's weird, like, okay, we got to see you in your bikini to see if you're hot, right? Because we want to hire hot chicks to draw people in here, right? But also during our interview process, we're like, do you know how to clean a toilet? Like, and are you happy cleaning a toilet?
Because that'd be part of the job.
So we're telling you right up front,
there's a restroom.
This is the worst possible thing an employee is going to have to do here. So can you help us clean the toilet once a shift, right? Just once during the shift. It's not a high volume bathroom. It's just, I'm going to clean the toilet. He's going to clean the toilet. What I'm really setting up for, are you willing to work and not just be a pretty model? So we set them up in the beginning to have all of these elements and expectations. of understanding what the job is.
I think the very first interview was the toughest one, because that's so we rented, we got the keys to the shop. Mm-hmm. And then I was on model, shout out to modelmayhem.com. I don't know if you're still alive, but that's where we found a lot of the models. We contacted them and scheduled an interview. And if I remember correctly, I might be,
how are we going to do this?
I remember me and Emmett planning the days ahead of time. And Emmett's like, yeah, we have to ask him to see them in their bikini on the first interview. And I remember that very first interview. I don't remember who the person was, but I think I remember hearing Emmett's voice, like his heart was beating very heavily because imagine asking a female to get undressed in front of you. At least, true, I mean, she's in her bikini, but from a professional standpoint, we had to ensure that they didn't have some swastika on their leg. They didn't have something that that they shouldn't be working with. Yeah. Like and I mean,
what if she's missing one of her boobies? You can't be having one.
Unfortunately, to some extent, the image is a uniform.
We lost it.
What are we gonna do with? What am I gonna do with you, Emmett, man? Like, I couldn't imagine working with you, man. Like I'll be laughing 24/7. But continue.
Girl.
So I remember sitting there, and the female models in front of us were asking the typical questions like, "Are you gonna be okay cleaning the bathroom? You're gonna be serving hot coffee.
What's your 5-year plan?"
Yep. And then Emmett says, "Okay, so this is a modeling position. So for the interview, we asked you to have a bikini ready. Can you use the best bathroom and get dressed or whatever?"
The employee change room.
Yeah, and then. I could hear Emmett's heart beating, because I think when he's saying he's okay, can you like his breath was leaving his
not in a perv way, but in in a nervous way. This is everything HR tells you not to do ever.
Yes.
You're walking down the landmine road.
And from our perspective, we were trying to cross our T's, dot our I's on everything and make sure everything was like above table, or just
no sketchy shit.
Yeah, it was professional, not sketchy. So when he asked, even though we did everything that was professionally up to then, still asking the question felt sketcky.
That's the moment you're asking an employee to take their clothes off.
Yeah.
It's a weird moment.
Luckily,
because no one ever, I hope no one really goes through that. That's,
So what we did do the first time is we had Emmett's girlfriend in the shop at that time. I think she was kind of like,
hanging out by the register or something?
Yeah, she was a little bit further away, but she was in the vicinity of that room, so she could see everything.
So here's another female here. It's a safe place.
So then at around like I think the third person that we interviewed, we didn't need his girlfriend there. And then it was funny. Actually, I remember one, I don't think Emmett saw this, but so there's glass windows
I like where this is going.
to the parking lot and the walkway in the front. So we asked one of the girls, I think it was the third or fourth girl, if she could change into her bikini. And then she's all, well, I have it underneath my clothes right now. So she just starts stripping right there. I mean, she had her bikini underneath, but she started taking off her clothes, or the shirt and pants. And right when that happened, there was an older lady that walked by, and you should have seen her face. Like, she was so disgusted at what she thought was happening. I mean, from the outside, yeah, sure. From the outside, sure, it could look like that. It was two dudes.
This is not how a coffee shop works.
She's like, this is a cover up. This is not a coffee shop.
I thought you were going to say, in the reflection of the glass, you saw my boner.
No.
Oh, okay, good. I always try to hide my boner.
Café Hapa girls. I don't think he ever had a boner. I'm guessing.
I was always too stressed out. Literally stressing.
He's like, I'm thinking about like building funds and landlords and grease traps. I ain't got time to be thinking about that.
That was 6 months of nonstop stress.
It was a lot of stress, man. It was a lot of stress.
Yeah.
So I guess having the bikini girls was a little bit of I want to say stress relief, but not in the way that term could come out. But despite all the paperwork, the money, the stress, it was good to have some eye candy.
Awesome, man. And I mean, the best thing about that, it was a big learning experience, a costly one, but it was a great learning experience. And who knows, maybe somewhere down the line, maybe it may come back, maybe open it up in Vegas or come to Fayetteville, North Carolina, 2-6, and open one up. So
Ice cream sandwiches all day.
I'll take it.
You know what would actually be so we're in Vegas right now. What's weird in Vegas is that every couple blocks is a local gaming tavern. So it's a local bar that they gotta pretend to have food, so they have a kitchen. But what's really happening is on the bar they're allowed to have like 8 video poker and Keno machines. And so people come gamble, and then those machines kind of pay for the whole place. So really, you're a tiny casino.
Hey,
So
that's a good
that
idea.
could be attractive to me in the future to do it here in that style. But you know,
Hey,
we'll see.
I'm down to lose some money down there. No.
but
at
again,
least I know it's going to some good people.
yeah. But again, to open any restaurant, it takes deep pockets. Most restaurants you see that are open is people with a lot of family money, and they're a lot of times it's rich people. Like, I want my quiche. I went to chef school and I want my quiche place, and daddy gives me $500,000 to open the quiche place. It ain't gonna be profitable. Definitely not the first couple of years, because they're doing their fantasy as I want to make it the finest quiches. But you might get profitable, but a lot of places you see will fold after a while because they're consistently not making money. So it's a hard business to do well. And then so in our research for that, I even went and talked to the Small Business Association, interviewed restaurant owners, and talked to a bunch of restaurant owners. I'm like, so what's the trick? They're like, I don't know. We were here for like 10 years, and the first 4 years it sucked. And then year 5, it all turned around. Oh, great. What'd you do that year 5 was awesome? Like, we don't know. We didn't do anything different. It just popped off. I'm like, well, that doesn't help me at all. Like, I have no idea how to succeed now.
I feel like that was a massive life lesson for me. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, just there was a lot of shit luck.
So exactly what Emmett's saying. We interviewed, I feel like 10 or 20 business owners, maybe 20.
Yeah.
And not a single one. And I was kind of furious just that we had friends that ran businesses. We knew people. We just, whether it be second degree people that we had to contact, ask them about their business.
Yeah.
Not a single one, not a single, I want to say the F word, motherfucker, not a single one
Hey, go ahead and run the internet.
fucking advice that said, hey, here, watch out for grease traps. That may cost you 10,000. Hey, watch out for these pre-inspections for the city health inspections. The pre-inspection, what you pay for may not help you in the final one. Just all these nuggets of information that we're throwing out there. Like, we asked 20 fucking business owners, not one motherfucker.
You're getting angry now.
Yeah. Well, 20 fucking business owners.
I mean, just imagine that's like, let's say 20 episodes of, like podcasts. And you're hoping to like learn something and you learn nothing.
Exactly.
Like that.
Exactly.
But, do you ever think maybe like they had like that crab in the bucket mentality where they didn't want to help you out because they don't want to see you succeed? They want to succeed. And they just was like basically BSing you or even trying to just waste time. Do you think?
I could see what you're saying on that. Their businesses were so different. There was a Thai restaurant. There was a hair salon.
You ever talk to Stevis?
Yeah. I think we talked.
Oh, Stevis, you're one of the motherfuckers.
Sorry, Stevis. Don't unsubscribe, Stevis. I'm sorry.
You can come over to People Choice Podcast, subscribe. We won't ever call you out, Stevis.
They were remarkably different restaurants, different kind of business, and different areas, right? Different cities, different places. So there's no way that we were direct competition. We weren't asking the coffee shop next door, down the street, what the secret is.
And even though I'm complaining about them, there were some of those businesses, they started from nothing too. So that was amazing that they're willing to throw everything on the line, their life savings on the fucking line. And yet somehow they didn't have a life experience or a professional nugget knowledge to give us some wisdom. But yet, I mean, even though I'm saying the F word with them, they put their life savings on the line. So I all the respects to them at the same time. But I was upset that we didn't gain anything after 20 business owners.
So on this podcast, we learned don't start a restaurant. Don't open any food service.
Don't go to Australia to find yourself. No, just fine.
It ends in tears. I think there's other businesses that don't require upfront money. So that's one of the attractions for being a realtor, is that you're not putting up any money. You just got to hustle. you know, so it's a commission only gig, but
Commission only is tough for a lot of people.
yeah.
Very. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're not ready for commission only, don't do that. But
I feel like I have some nuggets about the corporate world if we want to jump topics to that, but
yeah, is this how you want your podcast
sure,
to go? What's a normal?
Yeah, well, basically just getting to know you guys and, your backstories. Then I was going to talk about the podcast. Then, ask about maybe some crazy experiences on, your guests. Then we can ask your favorite quote, and then we can wrap up. But I definitely would like to go because, like a lot of my viewers, I think, like when you talked about before, they like numbers and like the behind the scenes of that. So let's talk about that. Some hidden gems for maybe some inspiring entrepreneurs that are listening or watching, depending on.
So for my story, mine was more a corporate. So after Café Hapa closed down, I jumped back into software engineering, and I was still stuck at like a lower rate compared to my friends and everything. I did a bit something a little bit shady. I kind of suggest most people do it. Do it under the table. Find out how much all your coworkers are getting paid if you can. Whether that be through shady means, don't get yourself in jail or whatever. But
are you saying if they give you the keys to the accounting software, you can just look at stuff?
I asked a secretary that had access to all that.
Throwing you under the bus, Miss Secretary.
As an accountant, I always had access to all the payroll info. So that's funny. Yep.
So then
it was you.
I would say my wisdom is once you find that amount that they're making, then find out this is the next part isn't like there's nothing illegal about it, or you just ask them what they do, how they do it, what their skill sets. In the IT world, it's maybe easier. I don't know in the accounting world or other fields, like meaning as a programmer, I could go ask somebody, hey, what programming language are you working in? What
Python.
Database are you using? Yep. Python, C#, COBOL, C++, any of them. And then ask what database they're using. Are they using open source? Are they using a paid one?
SQL.
Yep. SQL, MySQL, MongoDB, FreeBS. Oh, sorry. I'm naming BS. BSD is the operating system, but I mixed up. So find out what they're doing and then excel at those tools too. Now this is something that I think a lot of people don't do, and it depends on how much you want to sacrifice. Take it home and learn it on your free time, because you're not going to be able to you have a job. So you're going to have to do it you have to do your work. Go home. If you got the will, go learn those tools at home. Spend an hour or two. And it really does suck. I do agree. You're sacrificing your life because that's, you get tired working 9 hours. You come home 8 or 9 hours. You come home. You don't want to program some more. Yeah. But if you could hone your skill and make it better, then what the salary that the other people are making, and you start pitching that to your manager. And this, I suggest, go to your manager and be upfront to them and just say, hey, I'd like to work on a promotion. What do you suggest that I do? And be upfront with them on that and tell them I'm working hard. I'm learning stuff at home.
Hungry.
I'm taking additional classes. I'm paying for additional classes. I want a promotion. If you get the sense that your manager wants to keep you like a slave, and that's a terrible word.
Whoa.
I've worked for owners. I felt that they wanted me chained to my desk, and they did not want me to get a promotion ever. It felt like they wanted to keep me down.
Yeah, and a lot of places are like that, especially if you're really good at what you do. They don't want to lose you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, but also you're a threat to me now.
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
you trying to take my job?
They're trying to keep you down.
If I'm your boss, your promotion means my job.
So then the next nugget of that wisdom for that is you got to do lateral movements, meaning you got to jump to another company. Once you see your managers holding you back, you go apply for another company and try to get 5, 10, 15% more pay. And if you stay at the company and you dislike that manager for a year or 2 years should be enough for you to go to another company and say, hey, I got X amount of years working. This is the pay I want. And my next piece of wisdom, do not be afraid to go into an interview and fail. I had this is a true story.
That's a gem right there for real.
I only got one job offer after 11. But what I did learn, you could do. I had one job interview where these two people are like, holy crap, you seem like the best employee ever. You match everything that we need. How soon can we get you? Yeah. I was like, oh, just give me 2 weeks, man. It was weird. They ghosted me afterwards. I don't know what happened. I don't know if that company lost funding, if they went out of business. I called, I emailed, did the polite stuff, and they're gone.
They wanted you to say immediately. They said 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But
or the boss's brother-in-law.
Yeah, that could be it too. Yeah, maybe they got handed down. Someone CEO level said, "Hey, we want you to hire this programmer," and they already interviewed me, and then they couldn't hire me. So you could do everything right, and do the best, and people could think you're the best, and yet you still don't get it. So my advice: do not be afraid to fail, and learn the job interview. Use those. For me, those 10, I learned what I was doing wrong. I keep that with me. I know how to job interview now.
Well, because a lot of times they're asking you questions that don't say whether you're a good worker or not.
I fucking hate that shit. They ask academic questions that they ask you some programming question that you might use. I actually had one programmer I was working with. I didn't know how to fix something. I found out some code, and then he knew it once I showed him the answer, and he's like, oh yeah. He named it's the programming.
It's a double reverse stack.
Something like that. And then I was like, how do you remember that? And he's yeah, I remember that from 20 years ago from college. I'm like, what? It's examples like that. Like you shouldn't try to remember everything you learn from college, because there's Google nowadays. And if that's the things that they happen to interview you for. Unfortunately, as a programmer, you go interview, they ask you these questions that you learned in school that you once in 20 years, you might use on the job.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think you could if you think you can be a programmer, if you like writing lines of code, then you can skip to the top pretty quickly just go learn Python or C++. Go learn one of the languages that is in demand right now, and go whatever it is, right? YouTube, or there's a million ways you can learn programming, but you got to have the desire and put in the homework. So if you're working your 9-to-5 job, if you're working your part-time job, any hour that you're unhappy at that job, go home and spend an hour learning the program or whatever it is else you want to do. So if you got a 9-to-5 job and you want to be a realtor, give up your Saturdays and go say, hey, can I be a receptionist at your office on Saturdays? You pay me whatever, pay me $8, whatever. I'm here to learn and see how it's done.
Or if you're an accountant that you really hate it, then you put together a business plan to open up Café Hapa, even though it failed, but it started that path for everything else that we have now in our lives.
Yeah, so you might trade your good hours for that paycheck, and nothing wrong with that. I got to do it too, right? I got to trade my good hours for the paycheck, but the rest of the hours, those are mine. I can go play Call of Duty, I can go get drunk at the bar, I can go chase some girls on Tinder, or I can go learn something. I can power up, right? You can level up your character, you can level up yourself if you really want to. Even if you're not that motivated and you're behind. You go, I got my 9-to-5 job. I go deliver pizza on Saturdays. Keep that pizza money separate, right? What's that going to be? $100, $200? If you kept that extra $200 every Saturday, every month, you got $800, right? At the end of the year, what do you got? It's like, I don't know, is that $8,000? You got $85 million. But whatever, right? That's one way to get ahead.
Yeah.
Is taking your free time and doing something productive for yourself. Whatever chunk of money you can generate outside of that job that's paying your bills. So now I got $4,000. What can I do with $4,000, right? What's that? That's a big chunk of money for most people. Yeah. Most of us are busy getting in debt, getting behind. And that's really easy to do because those 65-inch TV looks fucking great.
Yep. Or those Jordans, man.
Yeah. why are you mad at the shoes, bro?
That's so true, and thank you for sharing that, because I think a lot of people definitely need to realize that, and especially like you said, the failing in the interviews, because a lot of times I think most people are nervous just naturally.
Hell yeah, no, I have friends that just are so fearful of going to an interview, and I tell them just go and fail, like. Get over that failure, and then you'll learn more each time, and you become a better interviewer, because the skill of interviewing is a skill set that's important, because then you're going to go pitch. I mean, there's little nuggets of like, I always do a counter offer. I don't give a fuck. Like, hopefully this doesn't hurt me by saying this publicly.
I'll say, give me an example.
Well, I mean, if they offer you 70,000 a year, first thing I do is I go write a paper about a page long and say, okay, I've been working in C# programming for 5 years. I have these qualifications where I've worked in database doing this. I've worked with a team of 20 people collaborating this with software. I write it in the list and I say, I appreciate your 70,000, but I would like 77,000. Please see if there's a way we could compromise something to those lines. And you could go on Google, search for counter offer letters. That's what I do. I copy that sort of and then reapply
use
it to
that
me.
format.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
I can tell you something else awesome about an interview. When you go in an interview, you already don't have the job. You literally got nothing to lose. So you have nothing to fear. The worst case is I walk out of here the same person that I walked in. I may want this job. I may need this job. I may really love this job. You can express that if you want it so bad. But, you know, with the day you walk in that door, or it's probably Zoom interviews now, right? But the minute you click on that interview, you know, you really got nothing to lose. Like, hey, it might turn out great.
That was actually my mentality for my job. Like,
yeah,
I remember I was just so nervous because I really wanted it, but then I was like, you know what? And I remember talking to shout out to you, Angie, if you see this. I was talking to Angie, and she was like, you know, Alvin, what's the worst they're gonna say is no. You're just gonna be doing what you're doing now. You got a decent job now, so it's like. I'm like, wow. And I took that same approach. You know, I'm like, of course, you know, in your interview, you're trying to sell yourself as far as like, you know, what value you can bring to the company, you know, and, you know, things you can do. But then it's like, at the end of the day, like you said, the worst is going to happen, you know, you're just going to go back to doing what you're doing now, you know. And I also learned like some supervisors or, you know, bosses, managers, they don't like when you seem desperate, where you're like, oh, I'll do anything, or I'll take it, you know, or you know, and it's some like it could show like, oh, you're eager, you really want it. But I found out a lot more that they don't like it because I don't know, they just don't like people looking desperate. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, confidence probably looks better.
Yeah, like I think that's exactly what it is. Definitely a confidence thing.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about like your.
I'm just gonna add one quick thing from these stories talking about $38,000 to start a coffee shop, the opportunities of going to a computer school and whatnot. That was all on me, and then all on Emmett on his individual self. I walked into being 18 years old around $2,000 in debt. Some family drama happened, and the cost of rent fell on my shoulders right around, I think, 18 or 19 years old. I was at a negative when I started my adult life. So I oftentimes when I hear all these successful people talk about them coming from nothing, I admit that I've never had a day without food. So every day I've had food. I talked about this on our last podcast. I always had food and I always had a place to sleep. But the opportunities that I forged for myself, I really feel was closer from the things that I did. But yet I have to recognize Uncle Mark. I have to recognize, yes, my mom did put food on the table. I have to recognize that there were some family members that gave me the love that I needed. But I did walk into 18 years old around $2,000 in debt, and that turned into $6,000 in debt when I was like 24. So there was a lot of hard work was put into what I am now today.
Man, that's awesome to just hear that, because like you said, a lot of successful people, we always say, you know, I start with nothing, you know. And with you, it's like, you know, like even me, I started with nothing. But for you, it's like you started with less than nothing. You were like negative, you know, and just.
Oh yeah, I started with less than both of you guys combined. College.
But just yeah,
people were out to kill me.
Oh no. Oh man,
I was missing a leg.
All right, we could feel free to jump topics if you want, Alvin.
No, I mean that's awesome though. You know, just hearing that, you know, because that gives people hope. You know, just even my story. You know, I opened up with you guys. Once it comes out, I know it's going to give hopefully some people some hope. And then even when I was on Steve Holder's podcast, shout out to you, Steve Holder. You know, he told me, you know, like to open up my story to him, gave some people some hope. You know, so that's pretty cool, man.
I would say this: no matter whatever your situation is, you can step back and look at it, you know, what's broken, what can I fix? And then every day you can go, what's the best thing I can do strategically? You know, what's the best move I can make for my future? Because looking at me, I never had money till I was like 37.
Mhm.
You know, up until 37, it was always just enough money to pay the bills and getting by and debt and you know, figuring shit out. So it took me a long time to get ahead. But the day you get ahead is it's a great place, and it takes the discipline of controlling yourself and not buying things you don't need, and figuring out how to get the best job you can get and make the most money you can make. And I did that all very slowly and kind of methodically. You know, it wasn't like some crazy
Australia story.
yeah.
Yeah, it was probably about 30, 34. I don't remember the age for me, 34, 33, somewhere around there, where I felt like I actually had some income. I was managing it well, and I actually had money to try to invest in certain things. But
Yeah, so it could take some time, but you know,
You
whatever
guys
your
give me
situation
hope.
is, yeah.
You guys give me hope because I'm 26 now, so who knows?
Yeah.
You know, maybe when I get to like 34, 37, you know, maybe famous. Who
You
knows?
can be
As far as
rich.
like this, but yeah, I'm hoping I'll be rich or at least well off. Do what I want, you know.
That's right.
But
with the podcasting thing, I mean, even one way to look at it is your skill set and learning about audio, video editing. That can be like, maybe someday if you decide you hate your current job, maybe you find some ad in Craigslist or some job posting. Who uses Craigslist anymore? I don't know, but it might
Old people
it
I
might
think
be
I would say old people, Instagram,
and Nigerians.
yeah.
that posting could be like for a podcast video editor or something. You never know. So these what you're doing on your free time is you're building a skill.
Definitely. Yeah.
Hey, what if a radio station came to you and said, "Hey, we need a DJ. Would you drop your job to be a DJ on the oldies channel?" Come on, it'll be oldies.
I don't know. I mean,
all you have to do is show up and talk like a DJ.
I mean, I guess it depends a lot of factors. You know, like where's the location, how much are they paying?
Oh, they never get paid much. It's always terrible.
Yeah, no, right? So it's like a lot of factors have to go into that if I'm gonna just leave my job. But heck, you never know what the future brings. But I wanted to get into, your guys' podcast. I mean, you guys have a very successful podcast. I love your guys' YouTube channel. I love the shorts that you guys have too, which I just discovered actually because I kept watching ours over and over and over. And I was like, oh wait, you got a shorts, and then like find you guys. So when did
I love listening to myself talk.
I do too. but
sorry, I keep cutting you off.
When did you? No, it's good. It's good, man. That's actually a good skill because sometimes it's good to change, the topic a little bit, or at least get the person, like, oh, what?
Yeah.
But when did that start? Because I mean, going from starting a business, and then you went back to your guys' respective careers, and then when did the podcast really get formed?
So about a year.
Yeah, why would you do a podcast?
About a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, I started getting this thought. I really like the Joe Rogan podcast, and it was just
shout out to you,
Joe Rogan, Lex Friedman, and actually Neil deGrasse Tyson. Oddly, it was when they have nuggets of information in their conversations. That's what I wanted to mimic, because once I listened, like mainly, I guess Joe Rogan's a pretty good one because I want to say 80% of his stuff is comedians and MMA stuff.
Yes.
But 80 to 90% of it. So let's just say 85%. So 15%, he's actually talking with some professor, some scientist. And that was what resonated with me.
Well, that sex doctor.
Yeah, Rogan has all types of guests. Like that's what I would love, and that's what you guys do, all types of guests,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was my vision back then, to kind of mimic what Joe was doing, except for just the 15% that he was focusing on. I wanted to try to do that 100% of the time that I was doing. So it took some time, like learning. I knew nothing about cameras. I knew nothing about audio. I knew nothing about lighting. It was a whole new world. The good thing that I had as a software engineer, I knew websites and I knew hooking up electronics, so that helped. Connecting the cameras to the computers and whatnot. And then learning a video editing software that I did picture editing software like Photoshop back in the day. So that kind of helped with the video editing stuff.
Cool.
So then started out, the focus just trying to do that 15% of Joe Rogan. So I contacted friends on Facebook. I blasted out. If any Facebook friends don't feel that you were special, that I messaged you. It was a template, unfortunately, but
wait, you reached out to me on Facebook and I'm just a template? No,
wait, were you on? Did I find you through Reddit, or I'm trying to remember where I found you?
I don't know, but I'm glad you found me, man.
Yeah.
I really am. Was I Reddit? Am I Reddit? Let's see. I gotta Google myself now.
You gotta dig through everything to find the gems, right?
Yeah.
Through that, man.
Yeah. So then once I got further in where towards you, I would preview your podcast to see if you seem like just an intelligent, moral person. That's actually, that's oddly my criteria. It's weird to judge someone, say that they're morally intellectual.
Yeah, how do you know he doesn't do scumbag shit?
Maybe he kills babies. I don't know.
Oh, you went too far.
He hasn't said it yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dang.
So he's slanging black market Plan B pills.
See, there you go. Like I would took that.
So at first, about a year ago, it started with just
Dirty
me.
bastard.
And then Emmett jumped in a few months ago now, and so the chemistry works. We're cousins, so our chemistry's kind of worked for a long time because we lived together for a long time, and we know that works. So
you guys are cousins? I thought you guys were brothers.
Cousins.
Wow, you guys are really close. I thought you guys were brothers, man. That's awesome.
We're cousins from another mother. Our mothers are sisters.
But we get along the most out amongst all of our cousins, it seems like. So that's probably the chemistry that you see.
I would say, dang, I think I introduced you guys as brothers in the beginning.
Oh, that's fine. I mean,
I'll scratch that.
No, I thought you were just saying we had street cred.
Well, y'all do with me. Y'all got street cred. y'all can walk the streets if it. No, I'm just playing.
Got two real brothers over here.
But I'll take that.
Yeah. Yeah. So then the commonality for the podcast guest is just finding someone that's intellectual, moral, but then a focus from the career. Often it's because their career either defines them or they choose that career for a reason. So I find that's the best conversations, what they're passionate about, hopefully their career. And
or what they're working on all the time, right?
Yeah. If it's not their career, then it's something that they're really passionate about. We had that DIY Tesla battery Powerwall battery builder.
Yeah.
On his free time, he's building like a mega Tesla Powerwall that's 5 times bigger than what Elon Musk is doing for Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's another dude that has his regular day job, but when he ain't at his job, he's at home. He's pulling special batteries out of like scooters and electronics, these certain kind of batteries that are perfect. That's the same basic kind of battery they use in Teslas. Mm-hmm. And then he's stacking them all together and soldering them together and building giant arrays of battery packs. And that's what he's doing in his free time. And is there some value there? Is there some, he made a YouTube channel out of it. And so now he's showing other people. So I meet some young people and I'm like, you gotta find something to do outside of your job. If you're scrolling on TikTok all day, you're just consuming what other people are giving you. But if you become the spark plug, you become the generator, you become, even if you're throwing a party, right? If you're organizing a party every month, you are the organizer, you are the nexus, and people know you. Oh, that's the dude that threw the party. So at least that's something that you're doing something instead of just sitting on the couch, right? Mm-hmm. So whatever it is you like doing, make some activity out of it. Make some possibility there.
Amen to that, man. I'm living proof of that, just with the podcast. And, I'm far from perfect because just like you guys, like I started from scratch, didn't know about lighting, cameras, sound. It took me really a while before I even got comfortable on camera, which I don't even know if I'm really even comfortable on camera yet.
Hey, you look good, man.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I had to learn about software editing. And all the stuff I did not know. I just knew I wanted to do this. And, I'm working crazy 12-hour shifts, 10-hour shifts. If I'm lucky, I'll work an 8-hour shift at my job, and just managing other stuff. But on my free time, I'm dedicating and learning about podcasting and big inspirations. Like I know we talked on your show, which was Jason Solomon and Joe Rogan, Chris Van Vliet, learning from these guys and seeing like, okay, how are they doing this? Putting in that time, that effort. And I hope all my peeps and all of your audience as well, definitely learn that, like, don't just work your regular job or don't just work your job. Like if you find something that you're very passionate about, or I know you're not big on passion, but something you like, definitely.
Yeah, you guys give me all this inspiration BS. I thought this was a path to porn. This is my stepping stone.
If you're passionate about porn, man, hey, reach out to some some porn stars and some adult film industries and learn. I mean, there's so like you said, you don't want to be just on TikTok, just being the consumer. You want to really go after these things.
Produce the porn.
Move to San Bernardino, where the porn capital is.
Good God. Something tells me I'm gonna have one of my older audience gonna watch. They're gonna watch this and be like, Alvin, what the hell?
Unsubscribe.
For real, I'll let you know if I lose some subscribers or not. I hope I gain a lot, but I'll be like, you guys cost me 3.
just throw me under the bus. I'll take the heat.
So
I'm sorry I invited that racist asshole on here.
Oh God, no. Nah, you're cool, man. But I do just got just a couple more questions for you guys, and it's been a great conversation, great episode. One thing I love to ask all my guests is, what is their favorite quote? So for both you guys, I don't know if you guys got the same quote that you guys love, or one could go in the other. But what's your favorite quote that, or saying? Because some people are just not a quote people, but what's your favorite quote or saying, something that was drilled in you that you lean on during the good times or the bad times?
Yeah, we don't hang out all the time quoting back at each other.
I would say I have a personal saying.
Okay.
Treat others exactly how you want to be treated, but also treat your environment the same, your friends and family the same. It sounds simple, but I reflect on every action that I do, almost every sentence that I say. I want to make sure I don't offend somebody. I don't want people to offend me. I don't want to come off aggressive or
it's a little too late for Emmett on this episode.
No, but I'm out to offend everybody.
So that's every action, everything that I say and do. That's actually, I've been living by that since I was probably 18, and I've really focused on that heavily.
Awesome, man. That's great. How about you, Emmett?
I don't have a favorite quote because I'm very situational. Whatever the situation is where what I'm addressing and what I'm doing. I notice a lot of our expressions come from farm days, like don't put the cart before the horse. It kind of makes sense, but that's definitely a farm day thing. You reap what you sow. That's a farming reference. A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush is from when people used to catch birds, I think. So it's interesting that our world moves on, but a lot of our expressions are old-fashioned expressions. So I'm trying to figure out if there's new expressions, but it seems like we have phrases that come and go. Like it used to be cool to be on fleek, but I don't know if anybody's on fleek anymore.
I know, right? That just fizzled. Hey, I remember that time.
Are people still twerking, or is twerking?
Oh, they ain't going nowhere.
Twerking's here to stay.
That's here to stay. You don't believe me? Go on that old people Instagram and just start swiping.
You got 45-year-olds twerking on Instagram. Hey guys, I finally perfected it.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. So I don't have any favorite quotes. I don't really think that way. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, I mean, just what you said. I mean, that's great right there, man. Thank you guys for sharing that, because I'm big on that, and I'm always trying to stay positive, and same with my audience, and that's definitely a good one, because as much, or I guess a good quote is for what you just described, with environment stuff, is as much as things change, they still remain the same. So there you go.
That's a quote.
Yeah, that's a quote right there for you. So for all my peeps, that are going to convert to I don't know if you got special names you call your audience. I call mine my peeps. Not yet. You gotta get one, man. They love that connection.
I thought I was calling everybody motherfuckers.
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, I think Joe Daisley. I mean, he calls. I don't even know if I should repeat that. You know what? You guys just look it up. Well, he calls his audience some explicit things, but they love it, you know. And shout out to you, Joe Daisley. No, not exactly that, but
Oh, okay.
I wonder if you're gonna, Alvin, if you're gonna have to bleep out a lot of things that we said.
I think I'm just no. I mean, I think I'll just do a viewer discretion, you know, in the beginning, and then like just hold it for like a good 30 seconds, so people really understand. Like you're about to be on a wild ride, but it's a good one.
Worth it.
So where can all my peeps find you guys at?
Just search Talks with Liem Le. Liem Le is spelled like, or it's phonetically like Liem Le. So Talks with Liem Le. Just search Google and you'll find it on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything.
Liem and then LE.
Yeah.
Wait, isn't there some other Liem Le dude? Is he a mechanic or something?
He's a famous chess player in Vietnam. He has he's the same exact my middle name too. So if you search,
if you see a chess player, don't click that because chess is boring to watch.
Ooh. Shout out to the chess players.
Fuck chess. Chess is that's an old game.
Oh,
ouch, man. Ouch.
For real, ouch.
No, if you don't have a cell phone,
unsubscribe.
Look, if you don't have a cell phone, then maybe chess is fantastic. But we have this electronic entertainment machine in our pockets.
True
that is fascinating. Oh, go play chess on your cell phone. Go for that.
Jeez, man. I think I would reword that. Say, chess in the professional sense is really tough to make a career out of. You could enjoy chess on your free time, but chess as a career would probably be really tough.
Definitely. So I guess that's a great spot to wrap up.
There's my quote. Don't make a living playing chess.
Oh God. But guys, thank you so much for being a part of the People's Choice family. You know, I'm actually the 26th will make a year that my podcast has been running. So I mean, thank you guys for being a part of it.
Longer than our cafe.
Hey, made it. You never know, man. I really think you guys could really, you know, I like that casino idea. So who knows?
Yeah, we'll broadcast from there.
Hey, awesome. If you build a little studio, I'll drop by. You know,
hell yeah,
bring my peeps and stuff. Hey, but we're going to Vegas. We're going to do a podcast and lose a lot of money. Sounds like a good time. But no, seriously, guys.
A pleasure.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you guys, man. Have a great day. Please go subscribe to Lem's YouTube channel. Talk with Lem on YouTube. You can also find, like you said, on all different platforms. Same with me over here at the People's Choice Podcast. And we out. Any actually last words for you guys?
Yeah, get out there and hustle, you lazy bitches.
Just thank you so much, Alvin.
No problem, guys.
Thank you to you and your audience.
No problem, guys.
All right. See ya, man.
All right, guys.